In computer science, we have something called a stack and we have something called a queue. A stack is basically like a stack of pancakes, right? So you think about how a chef prepares you a stack of pancakes. They put them on one by one, and the one that they put on last on the top, when you actually go to eat them, that's the first one that you take off. And a queue is like people waiting in a line, right? The first person who got into line is going to be the first person who actually is called up to, whatever the thing. Maybe they're waiting at the bank. That's going to be the first person that gets called up at the front. And so I was thinking about how these things actually show up in the real world. And it's actually kind of hard to imagine where a stack might sort of intentionally show up in the real world. Yeah, you could say like, okay, yeah, a stack of pancakes or a stack of plates or a stack of books. Of course, yeah, that's a stack, and it functionally behaves as a stack. But it's not like it was an intentional choice, right? When you have a stack of plates and you're going to reach for one, it's not necessarily like the top one is your topmost priority to choose. You could choose any of the plates in that stack of plates and you'd be fine. It's the same plate, right? There isn't really any sort of intentionality behind stacking them in a certain order such that the one off the top is the first one that you choose. But a queue is totally different. Queues show up in the real world everywhere. Imagine you're going to like a shoe drop. You're going for the new Jordans, right? You want to be the first person in line. You want to show up at midnight the night before, maybe even earlier, who knows? You want to be the first person in line because you know when they open those doors in the morning for the drop, you're going to have the best chance of actually being called up first to actually get that product. And so with queues in the real world, there's very much this idea of being first in line because you will be the first one out. You'll get that immediate gratification by having put in the intentionality of being first. But it's kind of hard to imagine a real world scenario where the opposite is true, right? Can you think of a time where by delaying gratification, in other words, being the last in line, when the actual event happens, you'll be the first one called up? It's really hard to imagine a system that works like that in the real world. Just try to think of any place in the world where if you are the last person in line, you'll get access to the best resources or the best services or the best goods or the best